Aloha, I'm Brent Shiratori, and this is Idea Marketing. In this video, I'm going to share one of my passions, how branding has evolved over the years. I know it sounds a little marketing nerdy, but it truly is something that I'm really passionate about because of how branding can literally mean the success or failure of a business. While branding has literally been around for centuries, like when cattlemen branded their cows, branding from a true marketing standpoint really started with the unique selling proposition, or USP, pioneered by Reeves. Basically, it's based on the idea that every product should have a single distinguishing benefit that makes it superior to all other alternatives. A clear benefit claim, rational, objective, absolute, perfect for print and TV spots. A great example would be Eminem's "Melts in Your Mouth, Not in Your Hands," or Steve Jobs' famous line about the initial iPod, 1,000 songs in your pocket. You could argue that the unique selling proposition is at the heart of everything we believe about branding till this day. But in the 60s, legends Bill Bernbach and David Ogilvy led a creative revolution in the advertising industry. They shifted advertising from purely focusing on product features and explicit benefits to crafting the big idea behind a brand, an overarching campaign concept that was memorable and could connect with multiple executions. The classic example was Volkswagen's Think Small campaign by DDB. In an era of big, hulking cars and horsepower, the VW Beetle was a tiny car with, quite frankly, negative origins coming right after World War II. How do you develop a USP based on that? DDB flipped the script and made a seeming weakness into a positive. Rather than hiding its small size, they put it front and center of the campaign. Think Small positioned VW as the smart, value-oriented option against the industry leaders in Detroit. To this day, it's still one of the most brilliant campaigns in branding. Next came the groundbreaking book, Positioning, The Battle for Your Mind by Ries and Jack Trout. They pioneered the idea that every product or brand needs to hold a specific place in the mind of the customer relative to its competitors. People don't think about things in and of itself. They think of things in relation to other things, and that's how they define the value of them. This soda is sweeter than this one. This car looks more luxurious than this one. This hotel is more convenient to the things I want to do in the city. We literally cannot place a value on something without having some kind of reference to compare it to. One of the best examples of this is Avis's We Try Harder campaign. In the 50s and 60s, Hertz was the #1 car rental company in the world with over half of the market share. Avis was the closest competitor, but with only 11%. If we go back to USP, how do you create a unique selling proposition on why people should choose your company over the market leader that has 5 times more business? They leaned into it. Their famous slogan became, "When you're only #2, you try harder or else." Their USP was to be the underdog, to relate to all the other people in the world that felt like they were also underdogs, which ironically, the majority of people feel. They were going to do whatever it takes to win your business, and that builds trust. And the beauty of focusing on that positioning was that while they had similar market share to other car rental companies, since they positioned themselves as #2, people saw them as just a little bit off from the #1 spot, despite this huge margin in share. They didn't overtake Hertz at the time, but they did triple their market share in a few short years based on that campaign. In the 80s and 90s, as global corporations emerged with more and more acquisitions and mergers being standard, there came a need for more sophisticated branding models. David Aaker was one of the lead founders of the modern brand strategy. Two of its most significant contributions were the concepts of brand equity and brand portfolio strategy. He defined brand equity as a set of assets and liabilities linked to a brand with 4 dimensions: brand awareness, perceived quality, brand associations, and brand loyalty. This introduced the concept that brands should actually be viewed as financial assets with measurable value. Brand portfolio strategy was in response to all the global conglomerates that emerged through acquisitions and mergers. When a single company has multiple brands, it would be a shame to run them at all as completely separate businesses with completely separate sets of resources, not to mention the waste of competing with each other. Brands within a company should work in harmony with each other. This goes back to the concept of positioning. Marriott has over 20 brands in their portfolio, but they can still operate cohesively because each brand is designed for a specific market to fill a specific need. They have luxury resorts, city hotels, extended stay accommodations, none of which has to cannibalize business or compete with one another. But there's also value in combining resources and acting as one brand, as a collective. They're able to offer Marriott Bonvoy's loyalty program. So if you stay at any of Marriott's separate brands, you can earn points and get the benefits of being a member. By carefully structuring and organizing your brands as a whole portfolio, you can get the benefits maximizing your market coverage, as well as carving out specific target audiences for each of your brands. In the early 2000s, we took it a step further when we began to look at branding as more than just advertising and marketing, and that the brand was about the experience and the story of the company. In this era, we looked beyond thinking of a brand as just a logo, but that it was the sum of all the senses, thoughts, ideas, concepts, the overall feeling that one gets when purchasing and using a particular product. And that every interaction a consumer takes when in contact with the product contributes to their thoughts and feelings, which ultimately drives whether they want to buy and ultimately continue to use it and buy more. This is when we started to realize that brands are simply ideas, concepts in our mind, and less a physical thing like a color, a mark, or even the product itself. Brands are ideas, and it was during this time where many marketers realized that their company and the products they sell is really just a story. That each product has a unique story to tell, an origin, a purpose, a grand adventure that they can take you on. And so marketers position their products as the hero of their stories, the champion that would save the day for you. The problem with that is we usually don't gravitate towards stories of heroes we look up to. We actually connect to stories that we see ourselves in. We believe that we could be the hero. And that's why I believe a brand isn't the story of how a company can win the day. A true brand story is a story we tell ourselves on how we will defeat the dragon, accomplish the impossible goal, reach the insurmountable summit. A brand is a story we tell ourselves on why we buy a particular product. To picture ourselves as the hero in our own story, and that is how we need to look at modern branding today. It's not about USPs. It's less about positioning and brand architectures. It's not about the product story. A brand is about enabling people to live their dreams and fulfill their destiny. A brand is magic, the secret sauce, the sword that every consumer uses to achieve their goals. Admittedly, a little philosophical and metaphysical for the history of branding in 10-ish minutes, but again, this is my passion video. If this at all kept your interest, please like, share, and subscribe, because you don't need to buy more ads when you have better ideas.